Implicit or explicit functions. The function x squared plus y squared equals 1 is implicit because it's not arranged for x or y. But the function on the right is arranged with y as the subject of the formula. So y equals a function of x. All the x's are over here and the y's on the left. The equation on the left hand side, x squared plus y squared equals 1, isn't arranged like that. All the x's and y's are just jumbled up. So it's called an implicit function. Now we're going to learn to differentiate implicit functions, but before we start we need to look at the chain rule again. If we're going to differentiate y squared with respect to x, we write d dx. d dx is differentiate with respect to x. Now this causes a problem because y squared is not arranged as a function of x. This involves the letter y, not x. So what we have to do to differentiate this y squared is differentiate with respect to y, because we can do that as it's a function of y, and then multiply by the derivative dy dx. Now at this stage we don't know what dy dx is, we just have to write it. So this means we can find the derivative with respect to x of y squared. So d dy of y squared is the normal way. Bring the 2 power down, that's 2y, multiplied by dy dx. Now for a quicker way to write this, we can write 2y multiplied by y dash, so we don't need to keep writing dy dx each time. To differentiate x squared plus y squared equals 25, we can differentiate each term individually. Differentiate x squared with respect to x, y squared with respect to x, and the constant 25 with respect to x. The first term is normal, 2x, and the final term is a constant, so that means the derivative is 0. The term involving y squared is the tricky one because we'll have to use the chain rule. This is y, and we're differentiating with respect to x. They're not the same letter. So we have to do this by going through y, d dy of y squared multiplied by dy dx. We know this is correct because we can differentiate by y, and dy dy on the denominator and the numerator would cancel, so the chain rule would be correct. Now, next line, 2x, differentiate y squared, that's 2y, and we just write dy dx. This means we've done the differentiation. This is rearranging now. We would like to find dy dx on the left hand side and move all the other terms to the right hand side. So we'll do that first of all by subtracting 2x. Subtract 2x and divide by 2y. So dy dx equals negative 2x divide by 2y. So in the end the 2's cancel and we just have dy dx equals negative x over y.